Okay, Raquel, I'm just gonna show you real quick how to like texturize your text. So this is if you decide to change typefaces, you could still get that same look that you were going for in critique today. So I just have a random typeface here. First thing you want to do is like turn it into a shape instead of like editable text. So if it's like normally like on a line, you'll just hit Command Shift O to outline the text, then it turns into this. First thing you want to do is Effect, and we are gonna go to where to go. Should be Inner Glow. Here we go. I think is it Stylized Sketch? I haven't used these in so long. Let's see, I think it might be in this Stylized. There we go. Okay, Stylized at the top for Illustrator Effects. So Inner Glow. And you can kind of see this is like my default. But if yours doesn't look like this, try to shoot for like these settings right here. So make sure you hit it in white. We got that opacity, and I know this is in inches, but you want to do around, just hit like 2px. Then it'll show up as this. Important thing, before you apply this inner glow, make sure, I'll go back to it, make sure that your fill for your typography, and this will make a little bit more sense later on, is that you have 50% gray. And like I said, this will make sense a little bit later, but just turn that to gray, then you go back to Effect, Stylize, Inner Glow. Then we're gonna change this to black, so then it gives you this effect. And again, blur, just type in 2px if you're set up in inches. Maybe you can even try 3, or we could do 4, potentially what that looks like. All right, 4 is a little bit too much. So you kind of, depending on the size of your typography, this, is slightly gonna change. So we're gonna go back to, what does 3 look like? All right, a little too much, so we'll go back to 2. So it should, in essence, look, make sure that's black. All right, we'll go back to 2 pixels. So it should look something like this. Then we wanna go back up to Effect. We're gonna go Pixelate, Mezzo Tint, and make sure you hit Coarse Dots. And you'll kind of see it coming together here. Then we want to rasterize the object, or rasterize, make sure we hit grayscale. Let's do transparent. So then it turns back into like an image. Then, I know it sounds kind of like a lot of steps, but hang with me here. Then we want to go back up to Sketch. I believe it's Sketch. Here we go. Glass, I believe. Yeah. So actually I lied. It's an Ocean Ripple. It's one of these. I'm kind of doing this as I go. Is it watercolor? No. There's one that really, just mosaic tiles. Nope. I think it's, is it under Sketch? Water paper? Shoot. I know, just hang in there with me. I know, I believe it was water. All right, let's just go with glass. So we want to kind of keep that a little bit on the larger side. Smoothness, you could play around with these textures, whatever one gives you like the most. Like grit, if that makes sense. So we just hit OK. And we'll go back to Stylize, or excuse me, Sketch. Stamp. So this kind of gives it that vectorized like feel. So you want to play around a little bit with these sliders. Most likely it's be at a 1. Smoothness, whatever kind of gives you like the most texture right here. good with that. Then we want to image trace. So object, image trace, make. And I have these settings right here, but to find them, you basically go up window and then open image trace, and then this window will pop up. And this is where we could edit things a little bit. So you want to turn snap to curves into lines, ignore the color white, and then really playing with some of these sliders to kind of get that textured effect. You know, threshold especially, the noise will be a big one. So just kind of play around with a lot of these settings. Sometimes if you use method, it flops them a little bit. Now we have a little bit of texture. It is again, vectorized object. So you could, scale it, you could expand it, go into it. We could remove the white. And you could see we got, some texture to it. You can, again, if you don't want like the white without actually like, okay, let me like delete this, or, whatever case that is, you could go select, same, let's see, I believe stroke color, and then you could do black and then get rid of it, however you want to do that, or make an overlay over your text, or just keep it as is, however you want, to do that. But that is one way you can kind of add that texture effect. And of course, depending on the size, depending on the style of typography, some of these dots will look a little bit different, a little bit bigger, smaller, depending on how you want that, throughout the settings. You could edit things, change some things, and even to add like a little bit more. Let's say if we go back and kind of do some of these over again, you could even go back to the mezzo tint. Of course, you would like delete that, second one. So even if you wanted to like line these up, and then this is under transparency or window transparency, and I believe it should be, is it overlay? And just kind of go through these settings. Screen, that adds a little bit more texture, might be a little bit too gritty. But, you could also change, some of these depending on the original sliders, from like the first part. That might be, not quite the texture you're going for. You might want more like the clean cut like that. But hopefully this helps. Let me know if you have any questions.